Oh, good morning, everybody. So I'm obviously not here. I'm taking care of my injured wife who has hurt herself yesterday bad enough so that she cannot take care of our 5-year-old daughter or our twin babies. So I'm being Mr. Mom today. So I hope you all enjoyed the film. It's pretty cool, and the climax is awesome. So if you're so inclined and you want to watch the entire film, you can get it anywhere. It was a really famous movie. It won some awards, and I bet a lot of your parents have it at home. If not, it's an easy rent. So if you want to watch the whole thing for an extension activity, by all means, you should do that. We're going to wrap up the French and Indian War today, and I want to start by going over the answers from yesterday. Now, I'm going to go through these fairly quickly. This is just a check, so I want to stress don't slow down the video or stop the video and go back because this video is going to be posted to Schoology, um, so you can all have access to it later on. Okay, the main thing is getting through this, and then you can go back and you can see it, 100 times if you want to later on tonight. That sounds like fun. Number one, why are wars expensive? Okay, we answered this in class. Equipment, soldiers' care, and governments can either pay for wars by doing less for their citizens, by raising taxes, or through loans. Okay, getting into the French and Indian War. Mercantilism is all about colonies sending resources back to the mother countries. And so mercantilism caused England and France to fight for control of North America because they both wanted the same great stuff, all the awesome resources that were going to get them incredibly wealthy. So that inevitably led to conflict. The next bit, what did young George Washington have to do with the French and Indian War? He led a group of Virginian militia, those are volunteer soldiers, to the Ohio country. They built a fort called Fort Necessity, that's on your map, and started a battle with the French to try and drive them out of Ohio. And this battle was the beginning of the French and Indian War. So, his role was that he sparked the French and Indian War, which would eventually lead to the American Revolution. Number four, why did Native Americans team up with the French and not the English? They liked the French better because the French weren't after the Native Americans' land and they treated the Native Americans with respect. You saw that in the video today. Number five, what was the final battle that allowed England to defeat the French? The English conquered the French forts of Quebec and Montreal. That's right, those were the final victories that the English needed to finally put the French down. What did England gain for the war? You can say whatever you want to say. You guys were getting pretty specific there with your answers yesterday, but the bottom line, they took all the land in North America away from the French. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we've got a map to complete. I'll show you what the map looks like briefly. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I can't color things in with Google Drawings, but I can show you where the colors should go. We've got our red colonies between the Appalachian Mountains and the Atlantic Ocean. And we've got the yellow of the Iroquois Indians here. And we've got the deep royal blue of the French here up in Canada. We've got Montreal circled. That's the site of one of the last battles of the French and Revolution. I'm sorry, the French and Indian War. And down here we've circled the forks of the Ohio. This is where Fort Necessity was. This was the beginning of the war in 1754, where George Washington sparked the beginning of the conflict. And then this dotted line here, this is the Proclamation of 1763 line. This was created after the French and Indian War, and it was very much hated by the American colonists. We're going to see why in just a second. Okay, that to be clear, the colonies go from the mountains to the ocean, and this border of the colonies right along here, that's where King George said, okay, you guys are done right there. You're not going to go into the Ohio Territory. We're going to stop you. We're going to keep you from moving into that rich farmland. You can't get any further than this line. I bet you can imagine how the American colonists took that. All right, now we're going to go back over to the answers to the bottom of your student guide. Okay, so turn the paper over. We're now going to look at the very bottom of your sheet. And this is where we should be looking, right down in here. Okay, there are going to be three outcomes of the French and Indian War. Three things that happened because of the French and Indian War. It says here, after 1763, the victorious English passed new policies. A policy is a rule, kiddos. It's another word for rule. Three new rules. Number one, English troops are going to stay put in the colonies. Number two, no English colonists can live past the new boundary called the Proclamation Line of 1763. And number three, Parliament raises taxes on the colonists. Let's see what happened with those. Okay? Okay, so we were just looking at the Proclamation Line of 1763. And as you can see, it goes right down the middle of those mountains, and it stops the American colonists from getting any further into Indian country. Okay, three outcomes of the French and Indian War. After 1763, the victorious English passed new rules. The first one is English troops stay in the colonies. Why would they keep English troops in the colonies? Why would they keep those soldiers there? Soldiers are expensive. Well, you know it's more expensive than soldiers. It's losing your valuable colonies, losing them to Native Americans. The French may be gone, but the angry Native Americans are still there, and all they were waiting for was a moment of weakness to strike back for revenge. So the English, even though they didn't want to have to pay for all these soldiers, kept them there to protect their valuable assets. However, the colonists felt smothered and spied on. They felt really bad about this. They felt like the king was keeping an eye on them. Maybe you know about the story 1984, where someone's always watching you, like Big Brother's always watching you. Someone's always reading your emails, or they've got your back. Well, that's how the colonists felt. They felt as though the troops were kind of cramping their style, and they did not appreciate that one bit. We're ready to move to the next rule. Number two, no English colonists can live past a new boundary called the Proclamation Line of 1763. That's just mean. Well, again, England is trying to protect their valuable colonies. They don't want the colonies to be damaged. And the fact of the matter is, Native Americans are on the other side of those mountains. England doesn't want any new wars. War is expensive. War is busting up their economy and their treasury. They don't want to have anything to do with that. So best to stay on the safe side and stay on this side of the mountains where we can protect you. But of course, colonists are angry. They feel as though the freedom that they've had until now is being taken away. Like these new rules are taking away their freedom. Also, the Ohio country is the best land in North America. As we all know, all those fur pelts and cash crops. And now they can't get access to it. All right, we're ready to go to our third and final rule. Parliament raises taxes on the colonists. Oh dear. They did this because England has no money after the war, and the colonists paid almost no taxes. Yeah, they got to raise some tax. They got to raise some funds. And so since the colonists are paying almost nothing in taxes, England felt like it was time for them to start paying their share. Not even as much as a normal Englishman, just a little bit of taxes. But, colonists feel really upset about this. They didn't give their permission to these taxes. They didn't have any input. They didn't ask their burgesses. They didn't ask their representatives at town meeting. They didn't vote on this. And so they feel very upset that England would have the nerve to do this to them. So the three rules that England tries to create in order to protect the colonies, take care of their colonies, maintain the empire, turns out to just really hack off a bunch of colonists. And those are the three outcomes of the French and Indian War. Three reasons that led to the American Revolution. So there you have it, friends. It's the French and Indian War. Rivalry from mercantilism led to a conflict, and the victory, although complete, led to the American Revolution. So even though England won, in the end, it lost. So you've been able to do skill number one, use visual information to determine main ideas and draw conclusions, and now you know about the main cause of the French and Indian War and the three results of the French and Indian War. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.